Today's special Saturday episode of the BS Podcast, brought to you by SeatGeek. As always, our presenting sponsor, the easiest way to shop for the best tickets, thanks to their revolutionary grading system. Buy and sell tickets in just 2 taps on your phone. Everything fully guaranteed. Right now, my listeners get $10 off baseball tickets. The first time they use SeatGeek, just use promo code BSMLB. NBA is about to end. You need to start going to baseball games. Download the SeatGeek app today or go right to SeatGeek.com. We're also brought to you by Hotel Tonight, and if you're like me and you're not so great at planning ahead, try Hotel Tonight. It's an app that helps you find amazing hotel deals at the last minute up to 7 days in advance, perfect for a spontaneous getaway or indulging in a little staycation. All it takes is 10 seconds, 3 taps, and a swipe. What are you waiting for? Get in on those killer last-minute deals. Download the Hotel Tonight app now. We are also brought to you by TheRinger.com. That's where you will find an NBA column from me this week, I promise, as well as all of our great content that we have on sports and tech and pop culture. And we are finally brought to you by Binge Mode, Game of Thrones, the hottest new podcast in America. Well, not totally, but it's hot. It's definitely hot. People like this podcast. It's amazing. Just download it. It's the first 10 episodes of Game of Thrones, dissected, broken down, binged by Mallory Rubin and Jason Concepcion, who know more about Game of Thrones than anybody who have ever lived on this planet other than the 2 people who created the show. And what's cool about it, I listened to a couple this week because I've been traveling all week. It's like books on tape. You don't even really have to watch Game of Thrones again. You can almost re-experience each episode just through these 2 crazy nuts that we have working for us who love this show and who break it down. I listened to it. I had intended to watch the show and listen to it, and turns out you don't need to. I mean, you can, but you don't need to. I love this podcast. Check it out. Listen to it. And on that note, Joe House coming up. We are off. This is a rarely seen 3 time zone podcast. Kate taping in LA, Joe House in Washington, D.C., and I am in Middle America. Let's just say there's a soccer tournament that's not in California that my daughter may or not be involved. But I'm in Middle America. I watched Game 3 in person. I watched Game 4 on a TV in my hotel room. I fully expected the Warriors to win. So did my wallet. So did Joe House's wallet. It did not happen. 24 threes, some referee chicanery. House, was that the game we should have had Game 3, and instead we just had it in Game 4?
The game always was a possibility. We finally got a couple things that we were, puzzled by in this game. We were wondering, when are we going to see, in the first place, some pace control? This is the first game of the series where the possessions went below 100 over the 48 minutes. So the Cavs, notwithstanding scoring 137 points on the possessions per 48 basis, they finally showed a little pace control.
Yeah, that was free throws and threes, bumped the points up. But I agree that it did seem like they weren't trying to turn it into a track meet quite as much. Which is funny because they scored 49 points in the first quarter, but, the foul trouble and the threes bumped that up.
Yeah, and 86 by halftime. The other thing, strategy-wise, and I thought Danny Chow did a nice job of this overnight. He mentioned this in his column that's up on TheRinger.com right now. Cleveland defensively let Draymond take as many shots as Draymond wanted, and Draymond took more shots than Steph or Clay.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And Curry sucked last night.
He sucked. He was due to suck for one, right?
He was due to suck, and he sucked. And he had been playing really, really well, and he didn't play that well. I went to Game 3. It was 113-107. It felt like the Warriors were kind of not deer in the headlights because they're a great team, but a little rattled. And I think it was 113-107 when JR had that chance to hit the 3 in the corner, and he took the 2 steps to the left, and he missed it. And then the Warriors scored. LeBron came down, did a follow-away turnaround, missed it. Warriors scored, and the game just kind of snowballed on them. It was stunning. It was about as fast as I've seen a game turn in the finals like that. It actually weirdly reminded me of the Junior Skyhook game in '87, Lakers Celtics, where the Celtics were up like 6 or 7, and then like somebody made a shot, Coop hit a three. All of a sudden it was 1 point, and you're like, what happened? And that's what the crowd was like.
Yeah, that's you just beat me to the punch. I wanted to ask you about the crowd reaction because you were also at Spurs Heat. Was that 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in Miami. Yeah, that was
in Miami, exactly.
Down 5, and they flipped it.
Yeah.
The Cavs fans were fantastic, super loud, angry. They're just angry at every call. It was funny because the Cavs were, I thought, getting more favorable calls than the Warriors did, and yet the Cavs fan, anytime there was a foul, they were just losing their mind. And they really thought they were going to win. And it just kind of, turned. And it was, it's been dissected ad nauseum, but the coaching negligence in the last couple of minutes was really bad. Like not getting a 2 for 1 after Durant hit the 3, which, by the way, anyone who's watched Durant for 10 years, I know LeBron was tired, but wouldn't you bet your life he was going to pull up and take a 3 from? That's his spot.
You just need to run at him. The 3 is so much worse for you than the 2 at that stage of the game, too.
Yeah, you had your spot at the foul line. I knew you were going to shoot from there every time. Durant, it's like Durant's taken a million threes from that spot, and they screwed up, and then they screwed up the 2 for 1. And I'm okay with Kyrie going for one-on-one because, as we saw last night, he might be one of the best of all time at it. And, so anyway, it evened out. It feels like game 3 was the game 4 should have been. And game 4 was the game 3. Cavs on fire. They get every call. They cut the series to 2-1. So it's logically it evened out. Here's the first question I have for you. Kyrie is now, I'm trying to think, is there ever been a better offensive point guard that you've seen? Because obviously Curry has the threes and he has all this other stuff, and statistically he's better. But from a pure, we have to stop this guy and we can't standpoint, I don't know if I've seen anybody better.
We always are mindful of not over-exaggerating what's right in front of our eyes and the hyperbole. But I'm sorry to use this man's name in connection with Kyrie because Kyrie still has a long way to go to accomplish who I'm about to say. But Isaiah Thomas is the guy that I think of, who is an unstoppable scorer.
Yep. He's the evolutionary version of when Isaiah was in heat check mode, because Isaiah didn't shoot threes like Kyrie does. And there's a couple things that he does that I've just never seen at this high level from a point guard before. One is, the terrible threes that he takes and makes, which aren't terrible because he makes them. Only Steph is really in the neighborhood of non-forwards, guys that just can make 28-footers with a hand in their face, falling backwards in the blink of an eye. There's no bad 3 for him because he makes them.
Right.
And it's really just him. If you just think about guards under 6'4", would you put Dame Lillard in there? Like, I'm not positive I would. I feel like Kyrie and Steph are just one notch above anyone I've ever seen in my life. And then the other thing is, his drives and finishes, which we knew last year. It's not like any of this is a news flash, but just to watch him do this on a higher stage, I think he's the best that I've seen of any point guard or any smaller person.
I want to be fair to Dame. I think Dame's got the game. He just, because of his team situation, the franchise that he's on, they're not only cracking the first round of the playoffs, so you're not going to get this extended run. And Kyrie also has the benefit of playing with the very best basketball player on the planet of the last decade. So what does that create for him in terms of opportunities? And really, more than anything, confidence. How can you not be confident if you got that guy on the floor with you at the same time? But with all of those qualifications, he's still an incandescent, unstoppable scorer. We haven't seen a guard scorer like this. The thing that distinguishes him, now Steph does get to the rack, and he's very, very good at the stutter step and the misdirection. But Kyrie goes to the rack hard. I like the way that Kyrie finishes. I mean, everybody gives him such great kudos for how he finishes, and he deserves it.
Kyrie in Game 3, and he ended up having a really good game. I thought Klay Thompson was spectacular in that game on both ends. Offensively, he was great. Defensively, the stuff he's doing to make Kyrie work for his shots was at a whole other level. I mean, not Pip and Kawhi level, but a notch below. How hard he was making him work and stretching, and just like he was every step of the way with him. And Kyrie still went off. He had like 39.
He's going off every game. He's been on a tear since that Boston series.
Yeah, so he's had 3 games now. So if you look at that Boston Game 4, which I think that was a game they were going to blow if he didn't do what he did, just because LeBron had the 4 fouls, some of them swung against them as bad as my Celtic team was. But then these Game 3, Game 4, like it's just ridiculous what he's doing, and I don't think he made any of the All-NBA teams. I'm pretty sure he didn't. And I'm really starting to wonder if we need to reevaluate how we do these All-NBA teams. Because if you're just going backwards, Klay Thompson and Kyrie are 2 of the best 15 players in the league. And if you're in the biggest series of the year, you want either of those guys on your team as one of your best 5 guys. And I don't know what that means, but we need to figure that out.
You know that Klay got bumped. I mean, it was essentially a numbers game. Kyrie got bumped because Cleveland went 23 and 23 over the last 46 games. I mean, so those are regular season awards, accomplishments.
I know, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe with All-NBA, they'll never do this, but maybe we just wait to watch the whole season before we decide on any of this shit. It just feels weird. Or just make it very clear that these are regular season awards, or make a playoff version of them.
I like that. You beat me to the punch. I want a playoff version of MVP. I want a playoff version, not just, finals MVP. I want playoffs MVP. I want all NBA team for the playoffs.
Right. So I did playoff MVPs in my book because it was really frustrating for me to try to figure out the different seasons and really only have finals MVP. And we didn't even have finals MVP till 1969. And then in some cases, the wrong person won the finals MVP. Like in 2007, the Spurs swept the Cavs. Parker was hot for 4 games. He won finals MVP. Tim Duncan was the best player in the world from start to finish that season, was not captured. Dirk won the regular season MVP. And then Parker won the finals MVP for 4 games. It really does seem like we need playoff first, second team All-NBA something, because I think
John Wall needs recognition.
John Wall needs recognition for his 29% shooting in the half court in the playoffs. Tell John Wall to learn some moves.
He would make the All-NBA playoffs team for this postseason. There's no 2 ways about it.
He'd make the All-NBA as long as we're going full speed on a fast break All-NBA team. I'd put him on that one. It was funny. After Game 1, Klay Thompson didn't shoot well. Everybody's like, what's wrong with Klay? And Steve Kerr really stuck up for him after the game. It was like, Klay played great. He didn't make shots, but his defense was unbelievable, and he's one of the biggest reasons we won that game. He's been great. I actually think he's probably been the 3rd best. I think Draymond's been their 4th best player in this finals. And I'm with you. Like, I don't know what took so long for them to just say Draymond just beat us. I would be letting Draymond and Iguodala shoot threes all day, all night. I would leave them wide open. I would do the Marcus Smart defense on them. Basically, just you're there, take them, knock your stuff out, do whatever you need to do. Because Durant and Curry are the guys that kill them.
That's right. The crazy thing is it took a record-setting performance by Cleveland. They set many records last night to beat this Warriors team. But in terms of creating these matchup, you need to do some everything that you can to tilt it a little bit. Like Cleveland was, trying to force both Sean Livingston and Draymond to take shots, inviting them to take shots. It's not like, those all by themselves is going to change the outcome of the series, but Cleveland needs to be doing all that it can on kind of every level just to create any kind of beneficial matchup because of the incomparable, unstoppable force that is this Warriors juggernaut.
I mean, they should have won Game 3, in my opinion. I really think they choked. And it was a choke of strategy. It was a choke of playing LeBron too many minutes at too fast of a pace in the first half and just wearing him out. Which I just don't understand one of the legacies of this finals to me is, like, why was it a good idea to have LeBron in fifth gear in the first half of Game 1, 2, and 3? What was the point of not pacing him at all?
Well, let's
I don't understand. Last night I feel like
let's dissect it. Do you think that anybody other than LeBron had a role in making, determining that approach?
Yeah, you're probably right. He probably overestimated his own abilities and his own endurance abilities. Maybe he was too hyped. Maybe he got caught in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's his competitive spirit.
You got to leave something for the fourth. He was. I went to 1 and 3, and he was just flying. At a level that was not sustainable. It actually reminded me a little of your boy John Wall in Game 7. John Wall's not superhuman like LeBron, but John Wall was dead with a minute to go in the third quarter. He had nothing left.
Yeah, it happened a bunch to the Wizards in that series.
Yeah,
Game 2
you got to spread it out. The Warriors are really good. I thought Durant played such a smart, awesome game in Game 3. I want to talk about him in a second, but he paced himself. He didn't go all out. He never panicked. He let the game come to him. I think I looked at my phone at one point early in the fourth, and he was like 7 for 13. They were all pretty good shots. And he was just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. And my buddy Sully actually texted me with like 4 or 5 minutes left. He's like, looks like the Cavs got this. And I texted him back, Durant is lurking. Because I really felt like he was kind of waiting for his moment. And then he took it, and he had a lot in the tank left, and he took over the game at the perfect time. I don't know if all of that was by design, but in person it seemed like it was. And, that shot he made, the 3, the play before that when he basically took, I think, Thompson off the dribble and hit that little baseline, little fall-away shot that really only he has, and Anthony Davis and maybe Giannis, the athletic ability to create that space and then the size to shoot that over somebody's outstretched hand. There's only a couple guys in the world that can do that. That shot and then the pull-up 3, I think it puts them at another level now. I really think we have to start thinking about where we're going to put him all time.
Well, isn't that exactly
another level to me?
It's exactly the point of why he's on this team. He knew this. You can't say he knew it. He anticipated it. He hoped that this would be the way it would work out.
I think he knew. I think he knew there was a higher level of basketball out there, and I think he wanted to find it. And I think he was done with the 1 versus 5 offense, basically, and 3 guys standing in a spot while he had to do everything. I think he was
the confidence that he gets from playing with a whole bunch of dudes that he know how to play right.
Yeah, he, if you're doing the top 5 forwards of all time, LeBron's 1, Bird's 2, Duncan's 3. Some people would have Duncan 2 and Bird 3, whatever. That's the top 3. And Elgin's 4. I'm talking careers. Obviously, if you put Durant in 1962, they would think like an alien landed. But Elgin's 4. And then I had Dirk at 5, depending on whether Havlicek was considered a forward or a guard. I think Durant has hit a higher level than I've ever seen Dirk hit. Do you think Dirk ever played better than this? I'm going to say no.
I'm having a hard time making that comparison because this Warriors team isn't like any team that I feel like I've seen in 30 years. What all those guys do for each other through the 4 top 15 guys in the league on the same team together. It just is such a rarity. It really is. In many respects, hearkening back to the basketball that we enjoyed that was pre-expansion, where every team had, every good team had 3 or 4 great players.
I love it. You know what? Screw screw everybody who bitches about that this isn't fair, all that stuff. I've just, to me, it captures the everyone gets a trophy mentality of how America works right now, where your kid can play Little League or be in his youth basketball team, and he's getting a trophy. He didn't win the title, but he's a winner anyway. That's the fucking world right now. And sorry, but they drafted 3 of their best 5 guys, and they were smartly carved the cap space for the other 2. Those are the fucking rules. Like, stop bitching about it. The whole league is meant to try to 30 teams trying to outsmart each other and draft correctly and create cap space and use it correctly. And they did it. So shut the fuck up. It really bothers me.
I love the super teams. I've never said one bad thing about it. I love KD going to the Golden State.
When the Lakers and the Celtics did it in the 80s, they did it because of the sheer incompetence of other teams. The Celtics traded the number 1 pick and got McHale and Parrish out of it, right? They drafted Larry Bird when everybody else was too stupid to realize that all you had to do is wait a year and you're going to get one of the 5 best players of all time. They got Magic Johnson because New Orleans signed Gail Goodrich, who's 33 years old, and gave up 2 first-round picks for it, and one of them became Magic. And they got James Worthy because they traded Don Ford, who was a bench player, and to Cleveland, who stupidly gave them a first-round pick and became a first-round pick. You know, shit happens. The super teams from back then were created because the other teams are so stupid. This Golden State team was created just because they were really smart. And I think they get the credit. And by the way, if Sam Presti didn't trade James Harden, Durant probably would have stayed. Nobody mentions that either. OKC screwed that up, and that was one of the reasons he left.
That's true. They had their super team.
I don't mean to sound like a Golden State defender because honestly I don't care. I'm a Celtics fan, and the best case scenario for me is not Golden State dominating for the next 5 titles because I think my Celtics and your Wiz both have a real chance. But I just think the bitch about what a team did within the rules is insane.
Well, it's not just the teams. It's the players, too. So we're in this era now. It's going to be super exciting and interesting to see where Gordon Hayward chooses to play. I'm fired up to see where Chris Paul lands this offseason because I think the Clippers, should go through a little bit of a rebuild thing. Houston, San Antonio, Cleveland, Boston, maybe Washington. I don't think I'm ready to crack that, put them in there yet. But Golden State, all those teams are circling the hoop, with the possibility of luring in, superstar free agents, and everybody wants to take a run at this, playing with the other best guys in the league. And I'm down with that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I would say if we're going to bitch about teams in this series, what about the fact that Cleveland won the lottery 4 times in like 11 years? This is a 30-team lottery system. The system is so screwed up that Cleveland won in 2003. The guy left in 7 years because they couldn't put a good enough team around him. They won the next year's lottery. They won the lottery 2 years later. Then they won again in 2014. And now they have Kyrie and LeBron, who are 2 of the 8 best players in the league, both times because they were completely incompetent. So if you're going to bitch about one of the 2 teams, I think it makes more sense to bitch about the fact that Love, Kyrie, and LeBron are all on that team because Cleveland was incompetent versus the team that was competent that put whatever together. I don't know. I think it goes back to the whole trophy mentality bullshit stuff. But I like watching. Playoffs sucked. They were disappointing. But to me, it was worth it for these last 4 final games. I loved all of them. Even the first 2 games that were blowouts, I thought were just really, really super entertaining. Hold on. We got to take a quick break to talk about Wink.
Oh.
House. Our wives love whining about our faults. They really love wine. That's why we signed them up for TryWink.com because they made it so easy to get exceptional wines from all over the world delivered every month right to our door. It's a personalized wine club that recommends wines specifically for members based on the results of our palate profile quiz. You just go to TryWink.com, TryWink.com. Take your feedback into account. They do. So they can learn more about your preferences with every order. For House, it was easy because she just put in, my wife will drink all wines at all times. That was it. That was her.
No, she's white. She doesn't like the red.
White. All white.
All white.
All white. I don't care. As long as it's white, I'll drink it. Join for free, skip any month, cancel any time. They even have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. You'll never pay for a bottle you don't like. Sign up for Wink right now. Get introduced to new and rare wines you can't get anywhere else. Find out for yourself why me and thousands of other satisfied wine lovers are raving about Wink. And Wink is offering my listeners $20 off your first order plus complimentary shipping if you go to trywink.com/BS. Fine wine, personalized for your palate, coming right to your door. That is TRYWINC.com/BS. So you're not ready to put the reign over Dirk yet?
No, I mean,
okay, that's fine.
Dirk single-handedly won a finals. Dirk's already got the finals MVP. Durant's right there, but they gotta close this out.
How do you feel about Curry if he's on two different title teams but doesn't get the finals MVP on either of them?
I'm fine with that. He's got two MVP, regular season MVPs.
Okay.
The finals MVP can be a little bit of an aberration. Tony Parker is a finals MVP.
I saw some stat. It was like guys who have won two MVPs and two titles, and there were only like 9 guys on the list.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
And it was like all the guys you would think would be on the list. It was like Bird, Magic, Wilt, Russell. I mean, it was like a who's who of the best.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and Steph Curry would be on that list too. Well, and Durant a year from now if he wins the MVP, which I think is definitely in place. So LeBron James, who has been, as usual, ridiculous. He's putting up, I think, 31, 12, and 11 every game in the finals. For the playoffs, he's in the 42 club yet again, the 42 club I created in my book. Points, rebounds, and assists averages for the playoffs have to play 13 games. And for whatever reason, 42 becomes a great indicator for who's kicking ass and who's not in the playoffs. And yet again, he's doing this. O'Connor and I talked about whether there was a possibility he might go to L.A. a year from now, because that's been the buzz all over the place. And the stories are starting to trickle out. You're hearing more and more people talk about it now. What would you do if you were LeBron?
Right now, I would chill.
What's your game plan? What's the rest of your career looking like in your head? Let's say you lose the series in 5. Let's say they lose on Monday night.
You have the luxury of being able to dictate your future on an annual basis. And I think what you do is you look around and, you love Cleveland. You brought a title to Cleveland. You have all that's not just friends and family. That's blood in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Can he feel like, will he say, we were in the finals every year after I came back, and we got you that one chip. I love you, Cleveland, but I'm now 34, 35 years old, which he will be. And started thinking about
with the crazy miles on him, like almost.
Yeah.
A year after next season, he'll have like 54,000 miles on him, including playoffs, I think.
So I don't think it's nuts to think that he would look for a situation where he can play with other great guys. I mean, we just talked about this. All the great players want to play with other great players now.
Can I posit this to you?
Let me hear it.
I think his best chance to succeed is to stay in Cleveland. I wouldn't want to leave Kyrie. Kyrie, who's a better wingman than Kyrie right now? Kyrie's unstoppable. I wouldn't leave Kyrie. That's crazy. If the Warriors are the hump that they have to get over every year, they can't play Thompson and Love together at the same time for a long stretch against this Warriors team. So either keep Love, which if you get rid of Thompson, now you have basically no rim protection whatsoever, or you turn Love into something that, can make you a little more dangerous. And I go back to February, and I really do think he'll deny it to the death, but I really do think LeBron was sending little spidey signals to his organization and his owner and his GM that he wanted to trade Love for Carmelo, because I think
I'm glad they didn't do
coming.
That.
Well, let me ask you: if Carmelo's in this series, what's different about it?
Impossible to say. Melo's never played in the finals. Kevin Love has. And I've been pretty impressed with Kevin Love this finals. I'm glad that he's healthy for these
I'm
finals.
not dissing Kevin Love. I'm just saying that, their best 5 players, they can't really play together in this series. They have to play 4 of the 5. And if you flip Love for Carmelo, now you could play Thompson, LeBron, Kyrie, Carmelo, and J.R. Smith or whoever, or Korver, whoever. And that just makes more sense. Now, on the other end, they'd be throwing Melo into just as many high screens as they did with Kevin Love. But I don't know. I personally think they would have a slightly better chance with Carmelo in these games because it would just allow them to put better people on. Now you don't have to play Shumpert all these minutes, and you don't have to play Kyle Korver in crunch time and some of the stuff they've been doing.
I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because we've never seen Melo play genuinely committed defense at the highest level. He's never made even a conference final, right? Has he played in the conference finals? I don't think so. He didn't with that Denver.
Yeah, he played in 2009. They were tied 2-2 to the Lakers. And
that's right.
Him and Mr. Big Shot went off a cliff in the last 2 games. Carmelo's biggest games have been in the Olympics, unfortunately. And,
right, so that doesn't give you a good feel for what kind of defense he's capable of either.
So if they could flip Kevin Love for Paul George this summer, which is conceivable. It's not inconceivable, put it that way. And LeBron could have Paul George and Kyrie Irving on his team, with Thompson as the quote-unquote Draymond Green. I feel like that's toe-to-toe at that point.
I'm not there. I think Cleveland's better off. I want Cleveland to keep Kyrie, Love. I mean, if we're talking about what can Cleveland do to get over this hump, to make themselves competitive with the Warriors, where they don't have to set a record, to win a game.
Threes just to beat them once.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
They need to add kind of one more piece, and I don't think Love, Kyrie, obviously LeBron's not going anywhere. You can't move. I think you just need to add an asset.
Yeah, but here's the problem. It's impossible. They have taken this roster and bled. I'm a professional writer. Bled every single possible trade / move they could make out of this roster. There's no more assets to get.
Don't underestimate. Look, we just talked about this. The great players want to play with the great players. Dudes will take a little bit less. Maybe somebody was willing to take a lot less. Well,
yeah, I mean, you'd be talking. They can't even use their exception because they got crushed by the tax so hard. So I don't need. I mean, they would have to be somebody taking the minimum. I personally, to me, it's like if you can't play Love and Thompson together against the Warriors for long stretches, then pick one and trade the other and try to get something for the other because both of them have value.
Well, you're not just solving for the one problem. I mean, I understand. As we sit here today, it looks like the Warriors could be built for the next, 3, 4, 5 years. But life happens. So who knows? Steph's ankle problem reappears, or
So you're saying instead of making a trade, hire somebody to hurt one of the Warriors.
I'm not saying that. I would never say that.
You just said you hurt Steph's ankles. I didn't hear that.
I'm just saying life happens is what I said. You never know. You can't try and solve for a single problem. There's 30 teams.
People always want us to disagree more on the pod. This is a good disagreement for us because I think they have to trade Love. I think they have to keep Thompson and trade Love for whatever they can get and try to make next year's team better so LeBron can't leave because I don't think they can beat the Warriors with this team. And I don't think there's any way for them to make it better because, it all goes back to the Kevin Love for Wiggins trade. Which I think they should have done, I agreed with. But at that point, you're taking somebody who could have blossomed into a real asset for them at a cheap price, right? And instead you add Kevin Love, who's making just a shitload of money. And now, instead of paying Wiggins...
They made the finals all 3 years.
Listen, I'm not against what they did. I'm just pointing out that if they had kept Wiggins at $7 million, now you don't have to pay J.R. Smith $15 million, and you don't have to pay Shumpert $12 million, and maybe you could go out and get a forward. Like, they're locked into this roster is my point. They lost all of their roster flexibility when they went all in on Love and Thompson and JR and Shumpert and all this stuff. And you could argue it was the right move because they made 3 straight finals, which is what you're supposed to do. I just don't know if they could beat this Warriors. And really, the person they should be maddest at is Klay Thompson for getting hot in that OKC series. Because if OKC wins, then they win the title. Draymond's nut punch is. If you're Cleveland, would you rather have last year's title or the Draymond nut punch never happening if you lose in 5 if Durant doesn't go there?
The title. You always take the title.
Yeah, I agree. But the irony of that title is it formed the Warriors dynasty. That title, Draymond nut punch.
No, it's a dynasty. I'm not sure we can call it a dynasty yet.
Oh, it's going to be a dynasty. First of all, let's say they win Monday night. That's the best 3-year stretch probably by any team in the history of the NBA that didn't win titles all 3 of those years, I would say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
15-1 in the finals. 73 wins last year. They don't win. They win the title the year before. Their record for regular season wins for those 3 years is a record, I think.
Yeah,
and then their record for just total wins is a record. They revolutionized basketball. I just think, I don't know if we're going to see something better than that. And they have 2 of the best 5 players in the league, which is also pretty good. Hey, wait, I want to tell you about something else. We talked about wine.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Dwayne Wade's red hair.
No. I want to tell you about thebblacktux.com.
Oh.
They've been looking great for a wedding or a special event. The easiest that it's ever been. You don't even have to dye your head red like Dwayne Wade. With high-quality rental suits and tuxedos delivered to your doorstep, the Black Tux is giving guys a new way to rent. The Black Tux offers a free home try-on so you can see the fit and feel the quality of your suit months before your event. The best part, it's completely done online. No trips to the Tux shop required. No creepy tailors breathing all over you. TheBlackTux.com lets you create your look. Choose from tons of stylish selected outfits starting at just $95. How much did the tux cost for your wedding? I don't remember.
I didn't wear a tux.
Yeah, I don't think we did wear tuxes.
No, we were out. It was an outdoor wedding on the vineyard. So we
went outdoor.
Yeah.
Well, I need a tux. You've known about.
I would need a tux for this NBA playoffs award show that we're pining for. That's what I want a tux for.
Okay. We'll get them from thebblacktux.com. Modern, made from fine Italian wool, highest quality in the rental market. Any issues, their expert customer care team will take your back. Have your back every step of the way. After ordering, your suit will arrive 14 days before your event. You have a full 2 weeks to try it on, make sure everything fits, or if it's less than perfect, Black Tux will send you a free replacement right away. After you're done, drop your rental back in the mail. Shipping free both ways. It is so easy. Get started right now. Visit thebblacktux.com/BS to get $20 off your purchase. Speaking of tuxes, was thinking about our friend Chip Kane this weekend. Because it was my 25-year college reunion last year that I didn't go to. Chip Kane was there. Chip Kane, at his own wedding, passed out, partly hot church, but also because he didn't have the right tux. He had one of those heavy, hot tuxes, and it was like a fire-retardant suit that NASCAR drivers would use. And the combo of that and the heat of the church and maybe 2 to 25 drinks the night before, he just keeled over during his own wedding. So that's another thing that blacktux.com can help you with. Don't pass
Find a breathable one.
Yeah, find a breathable tux at thebblacktux.com/BS. $20 off your purchase. All right. So we didn't talk about the refs last night.
It's going to be a hard conversation to have.
I know. Do we even have it? It's probably not worth it.
Well, here's the thing that I'm interested in. I want one layer more transparency into how the league plans for the refs in the finals. I couldn't believe my eyes with Mark Davis and John Goebel out there yesterday. What has Mark Davis done to make anybody think that he should be a ref in the finals?
Yeah, I hate trashing the refs, but let's do it for 1 second.
Here we are.
Mark Davis is one of those refs, and we all have them, if you're really an NBA junkie and you love the league and you love your team and you're nerdy and lame enough to actually know who the refs are, Mark Davis is one of those refs that I see him, and no offense to him, I'm sure he's a nice guy, I'm sure he's a great family man, but I see him and I go, fuck.
Me too.
Mark Davis tonight. Right, so you felt that way too, and then when he did a Wiz Celtics playoff game, both of us were upset with him.
We were both mad.
Yeah, it's just when he's involved, the game just always seems to come off the tracks. And I don't get it, man. They have Game 4 is a Friday night. Game 5 is a Monday night. Just use your best guys. They know who the best guys are.
They know who the best guys are.
Their best ref. He should ref every game. Why can't he ref every game? These guys, these NBA refs, they ref 4 or 5 times a week.
This is what I'm asking for, this transparency, that I want to see, what goes into the planning. The same guys could ref all the games. There's no question about it. The players play the games. The same. We could have the same refs for the whole series.
They know who the best refs are. They grade them. They go nuts with who's who, and they've had a lot of trouble kind of grooming younger refs to become signature marquee refs. So somebody like Zach Zarba, who I think is pretty good, he's one of the younger ones. Goebel's another one of the younger ones. I know they have to take chances with the younger ones and hope they make it, but man, that was one of those crews. When I saw him, I was like, oh boy, that shouldn't be my reaction for the finals. Game 4, bring your best. Today's Saturday. It was a special emergency podcast.
Well, and look, we also...
I went and got Tate. I knew Tate would do a good job producing it.
It's also...
I didn't go on the internet and rent a producer for the podcast that I was hoping would do a good job. I went and got Tate.
I feel bad about naming names, but we've already broken the seal. I mean, you've seen the stat. Mike Callahan has now refereed 12 straight Cleveland wins, and the last 3 times the Cavaliers have beaten the Warriors, Mike Callahan. Oh, that's true, Daddy. That is true.
Oh, man.
How do you like that?
Let's just get off this topic.
Yeah, let's get off it.
I love all the people that work for the NBA. It's just not a good subject. But I really do think that you're looking at something that took them way too long to care about, which was referees, and where to find them, how to grade them, how to find new ones, how to develop them. This is something Mark Cuban was bitching about, and I was writing about in 2006 as the biggest epidemic in the league. And I don't know if epidemic's the right word. Biggest issue?
It's not the biggest, but it affects the quality of the product, and you just don't want 22 free throws in the first quarter for Cleveland. I mean, you just don't want that.
And also, Cleveland's a team that you can decide going into the game how you're going to officiate them, right? LeBron's like Wilt. LeBron's like Shaq. You could call 45 fouls on guys guarding LeBron, and same with Kyrie when he's going to the basket. Like, it's just so hard to call it. You can go into the game with a certain mindset, and if they're telling the refs there was too much contact in Game 3 that wasn't called, like lock it down, that helps the Cavs. Anyway, it's not worth. Cleveland would have won anyway, I think, but it also felt like a game in the first quarter where it was like to not have Clay in there is so damaging for Golden State because he's by far their best guy in Kyrie.
Yeah.
And if you're just going to knock him out of the first half, like, oh, gee, I wonder how they got to 86 points. It wasn't just that, but it was part of it. So what happens in Game 5?
I think it's going to look like Games 1 and 2. I tweeted mid-game last night that I thought that the way the game was going in terms of the efficiency that Cleveland had scoring-wise was a very bad omen for the ultimate outcome of the game. And I think we've seen with this Warriors team, if they're within 16 points with 7 minutes left, they can absolutely win. There's no doubt about it. So I was looking for. Didn't
you feel like last night? I was waiting for their run last night.
Me too. Exactly.
I just went. They got it to like 12 a couple times, And I almost tweeted, like, the Cavs better not let this get to single digits. The problem with Twitter now is if you tweet something like that and then it doesn't happen, everybody they love shoving in your face.
Well, you could just say, when I tweeted mine, and I think Golden State was down 25 or something, I said that I realized how stupid it was that what I was about to say. So you could just make fun of yourself. People were nice to me. They told me I was stupid. But I think it's going to be like games 1 or 2, and the reason for that is because last night every Cleveland player who played at least 10 minutes shot over 50% from the field, and I don't think that's going to happen in Golden State on Monday. We should talk about Golden State's defense, though, a little bit. Lack of defense from last night.
Well, but here's the problem, though, and this is why modern basketball is, I think, becoming harder and harder to gamble on. You just don't know when the game's coming. When you have two teams like this, you don't know when the game's coming when somebody's get 24 threes. You know? How do you know? It's like roulette. I mean, you're just watching the ball roll around. You hope it's red or black. The Cavs aren't going to hit 24 threes in Game 5. But if I were them, I still feel like they have a move that's almost like an NFL playoffs move, like a strategy move, where they could just go super slow in Game 5 and try to pace it so that LeBron can peak in the third and fourth quarter. You just go, you post LeBron up, take your time on possessions, don't let the game outflow, almost like their Game 7 strategy, which is the way I thought they were going to play the whole series. Don't do what they did.
We talked about this at the outset of the series.
I know. If this is the game, I would do it. I would have a completely different pace for this game, and just try to make it a game that's like the outlier, weird, fucked up game.
Well, you know, one of the ways to do that, speaking of the refs, if you do reintroduce the bully ball and try and, you know, make the refs keep you from being as physical as you might be. I mean, I think it's about time to ratchet up a little bit of the physicality now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think their role players are going to show up like they did these last two games. You're not going to get anything from J.R. Smith on the road. Just hasn't happened in this series. I don't really trust. I trust LeBron. I trust Kyrie. I trust Love to an extent. Thompson has had a really strange series. I don't know what to make of him anymore. Darren Williams, like, signs of life in Game 4 compared to Game 3, where he was just a waterlogged corpse. But I don't feel like they have that kind of wild card X factor, dude.
It could be Korver.
Maybe. By the way, I haven't done a podcast since Game 3. I thought that was a great play. I was fine with that play.
Oh, absolutely.
Setting up the play for Korver. He got a nice corner three. He's probably one of the best 5 guys of all time at that shot, and he was open, and he got a good shot.
I think he's the best in the league with that shot this season.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Me too.
And for all the people who are like the hero ball people, you know, you don't win titles unless other guys on the team make shots. Everyone's tried. Like, even you said it earlier in the podcast. You're like, Dirk single-handedly won the finals in 2011. Actually, like, Jason Terry had that one game in the finals when, remember, he lost his mind and started making crazy shots. Like, that has to happen in the finals. 2009, Derek Fisher made the biggest shot of that whole series. 2008, Eddie House and James Posey. You go on and on. It's always the role players that end up swinging games. And,
Mike Miller had a game in the finals a few years ago.
Mike Miller. Ray Allen won 2013, saved their ass. 2014, Danny Green. It's always the random dudes. So I like the Korver play, and I would run it again if I was them. Let's say the Warriors win by 20. Where do you put them all time?
I'm only hesitating because the proper way to assess them, to me, is it's a 3-year run. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier. They've accomplished things that the league's never seen before in terms of regular season wins. If they go 15-1, it's only been done one other time. So that's 3 straight finals, winning 2 out of the 3. 15-1 in the playoffs. It really does. We really do need to start talking Lakers, Celtics, Bulls. That's the territory.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost not a season thing. It's more of a, for me, the Celtics was 84 to 86. The Lakers was 85 to 87. The Sixers were 81 to 83. The Bulls, you had 91 to 93, and you had 96 to 98. Lakers 0-0 to 02. The 3-year runs are a nice way to look at this stuff. Spurs were 05, 06, 07. Lakers were 08, 09, 10. Usually it's a 3-year run. And then if you can get more than that, awesome. Miami was, you could go 11, 12, 13, or you go 12, 13, 14. But, I think from that respect, they rank way, 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 way up there.
That's right. And the funny thing is, using that 3-year paradigm you mentioned earlier, dynasty, there's no reason to think they couldn't do it again next year.
Yeah, all I can tell you is when those MVP odds go up, I can't bet. Damn it. I'm going to convince you and Sal to bet on Durant. I think those will be, whatever those odds are, will be the best odds next year.
Well, if he's the NBA, if he's the finals MVP, the odds aren't going to be very good.
No, but LeBron and Westbrook will always have the best odds for MVP, I think.
That's true.
By the way, we have to, I want to talk about Capital One in a second, but you mentioned how Hayward is the big prize for everybody.
Him and Chris Paul.
I'm gonna let you mull this over as we head into one more little break.
Yeah, I want to mull.
I just want to point out that Blake Griffin can opt out of his contract and become a free agent. Just mull that over. Think about it. Chew on it. And we're going to take a quick break with a message brought to you by CreditWise from Capital One. Numbers don't tell the whole story. Cavs hit 24 threes in Game 4. Does that mean they're a better team than the Warriors? Nope. Credit isn't any different. It's all about how well you perform against the factors that go into a credit score. How good are you paying your bills on time? How much credit do you have spread across different accounts? How long have those accounts been open? All of these factors impact your credit health. And since there is no one single score that lenders use, knowing these factors are key. CreditWise lets you track the factors that make up your credit health using information from your TransUnion credit report. This app can help you spot errors or identify theft and lays out information you need to understand your behaviors and how they impact your credit health. Plus, you can check it anytime without negatively impacting your credit. And the best part, it is 100% free for everyone, whether you're a Capital One customer or not. Step up your game. Download CreditWise today. So let's say the Celtics struck out on Gordon Hayward. Oh, for the record, and Mark Stein reported this. Love to Steiny Mo. I saw Steiny Mo before Game 3. It was emotional.
Good.
It was emotional. I love that man.
Yeah.
What's happening is reprehensible. I will leave it at that. Really, I'm not saying anything about this.
Save it for another day.
But I'm going to save it for another day. But I just want the appropriate parties to know I know what's going on. Anyway, so he reported that Gordon Hayward, that Miami is a big suitor with Gordon Hayward. Here's the thing. Miami is always a big suitor. Here's a good recipe. If Miami has cap space and Miami has Pat Riley, they have to be taken seriously every summer. They just do. It shouldn't be a newsflash that, Gordon Hayward is on the Miami radar, because to me it's like Miami is always the number one threat in every free agency, right? So I think they're a suitor for Gordon Hayward and Blake Griffin. I think they're going to come out of it with somebody because Pat Riley lands big stars. That's what he does. He's been doing it for 20 years.
Well,
go there. He has a proven record. He puts the rings on the table. He's got the cap space, and you get major income tax breaks by going to Florida.
Yeah, no state tax in Florida. Speaking of,
what else happens? You get to live in Miami. That's a really fun place to live.
I've heard that.
I think they have to be taken seriously for both Gordon Hayward, and I actually think Blake makes more sense.
I also
in Joe House.
I got to give a shout out to Spoelstra as well for talking about all the attributes in Miami that make it a desirable place. He's really been impressive to me since the big three, cracked up and left, and Bosh had to, much love to Chris Bosh, said yeah, I mean, we already, have been through the emotion. We know that he's not going to play anymore, but it's kind of final now. But I think Spoelstra has done an unbelievable job, after the run to the finals all those years.
And who notices that shit? The players.
I agree.
They notice the really well-run and well-coached teams. Like, even when I did the second podcast with Durant, we were talking about Deion Waiters, and he just started raving about Miami and Spoelstra and those guys because the players notice. They can tell. And in Brad Stevens, it's a huge asset for the Celtics that the players go against Brad Stevens, and they're like, wow, that team was really well coached. They were really well prepared. And Miami just has so many different advantages. So anyway, Blake's been under the knife a lot, multiple times. He's got the broken hand. Kevin O'Connor has documented all the different things that have happened to Blake's body. With that said, I think he's 28. I think if you're looking at him for 3 years in the max, something like that, and he wants to get away from the Clippers and start over, and as a backup plan for the Celtics, I think he makes a ton of sense.
Oh, I see.
The primary plan for Miami, I think he makes a ton of sense. But, if you're the Celtics and you could get Blake for 3 years, and you have Horford, you have Blake, and you draft Fultz, and you bring in Zizic, it's a pretty good team, right, House?
I mean, it was a lock of the century before we got going on this podcast today that at some point we would be talking about the Celtics offseason. So I'm willing to.
No, we don't need to.
I'm going to indulge it. I'm going to indulge it. I do think the right place for Blake is a place like Boston. Because we observed this and we talked about this on some pods over the course of the season. He's a different player now than he was, really as recent as 18 months ago. He doesn't have the same lift by all indications and appearances. This is just eye test stuff, so I know how dumb it is.
Yeah, definitely not healthy.
But not healthy. And what version of Blake are you getting, and what's your game plan for those 3 years if he's only going to be able to play 60 games a season? If that's the kind of player that he turns out to be.
I'll tell you this: the Celtics have one summer to go get a marquee free agent. After the summer, it's going to be a lot harder because they have contracts expiring, people they got to pay. And this is the one summer they could sneak somebody else in. And Hayward and Blake are the guys that make the most sense. And ironically, both of them make a ton of sense for Miami too. I think Blake actually makes more sense for Miami than Hayward. They have a lot of swing guys. But for both of them, they make sense. And I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. I think this summer is going to be a fucking free-for-all.
I didn't get a chance to listen to you and Kevin O'Connor. Are the Celtics re-signing Isaiah Thomas?
Not this summer. Not with the hip thing. I don't think so. I still feel like, all right, you're an objective party. You don't care about either team. Porzingis for the number one pick as the two major pieces in some sort of deal still makes the most sense to me out of just about any move I've heard.
I don't know if the Knicks would
even trade Porzingis.
I think it's totally fair.
It's a totally fair trade. Because from a Knicks standpoint, you just you have 1 and 8. You take Fultz, you make him your dude. You get whatever you can get for Carmelo. Then you take whoever at 8, and you throw away 2018, and you rebuild around Fultz, and you have him for 2 more years. Then you have Porzingis. Porzingis, the clock's ticking already. We're already 2 years in. And you already know he's unhappy. So it's just, that would be the reason to do it. I still personally would rather, obviously would rather have Porzingis. Someone give up the number 1 pick for him. My guess, I'm just saying that if you're the Knicks and you're worried about keeping him. But there's some stuff that's going to happen, because if there's some real life to this LeBron stuff with LA, then they're going to try to dump that Dang or Mozgov contract, or both of them.
But we're only 2 weeks out now from all of these trades building towards the draft. I mean, are we going to see some trades this year?
I do. I really do think so. I think we will. I think it's too logical for too many of the teams involved to do stuff. Philly, Fultz makes the most sense for Philly of any team in the lottery. The Kings love Fox. The Suns, Lonzo and the Suns would be fantastic. There's all these fun matchups with the lottery and with players and with teams and the supporting cast they have. And then the right teams have trade assets at the right spots, right? The Kings have 5 and 10. The Suns have 4 and then a whole bunch of stuff and cap space. The Sixers have 3 and all these different moves. Like, somebody was asking me, would you trade the number 1 for Ben Simmons? Which is a trade that I think makes a lot of sense for Philly. I don't know if I would do it if I'm the Celtics. I'm a little worried about my son. Coming off the broken foot. We don't know if he can shoot. I think Fultz is more of a sure thing, right?
It's impossible to say. You never know until the lights are on with the guy that's only been in college 1 year. Before the season started, we were kind of talking about, is Brandon Ingram going to be a guy that is going to really surprise everybody? And you know what? He didn't surprise anybody. He sucked.
I know, but
not ready for the league.
I had an NBA insider describe Fultz to me this way: a 6'3" Tracy McGrady.
Pretty good.
And the point was, unbelievable athlete, can do absolutely anything on a basketball court, a little laid back, and almost has no weaknesses, and can shoot threes, can get to the rim, A+ athletic ability, good passer, just can do anything.
Well, I love him because he's from the DMV.
I know, and I had trouble. My only issue with Fultz was like, who is he? What can I compare him to? And then when I heard 6'3" Tracy McGrady, I was like, that's it. That's who he is. It's perfect. I loved it. It finally put his career arc in the context, and also the fact, that the thing people are throwing at him is that he sucked in college. But Titus did a good job at debunking that, as did the fact that they fired their coach after and all that stuff. How is your plan going with framing Jan Mahimny for a crime that would get him off the Wizards cap? Did you think of how you're going to do that yet?
I'm willing to live with Jan. There is a role for him. He's a $16 million bench player who should come in and help the second unit defend the rim for 12 minutes a game. Look, welcome to Washington.
Congratulations.
There's a trade out there. This is I'm ready. I know that we've been talking for about an hour, and I've been mulling this, how I wanted to kind of present this.
Yeah.
I'm ready to say this. I now live in a world where I have talked myself into the possibility of Dwight Howard as a Washington Wizard. I really did it. I've done it. I think it could make sense here. I think John Wall, this is the thing. I've been so blinded by what John Wall has done for so many players, both big guys and wing guys. He's made so much money for other guys. What if he could revive and revitalize Dwight Howard on the pick and roll? What if? I mean, I've been very quiet about it. This is the first time I've said it out loud, but I've been mulling it. I've been mulling it.
I was gonna read you some emails today, because I didn't know. I thought if we ran out of steam, I'd have some emails ready for us. Paul from Denver asked, "Is there any way we can get Dwight Howard onto the Warriors roster this summer? Releasing the Dwight Bola virus in the Golden State locker room would be a great test of its potency." I thought that was funny, and now you want to continue it.
I didn't say I wanted him. I'm just thinking about it. I talked myself into it, how it could work.
Would you trade Mahimny and Kelly Oubre for Dwight Howard?
No, can't trade Oubre.
Okay.
Got to have Oubre. Mahimny, I would trade Gortat.
How much are you giving Otto Porter?
Not the max, but he's going to get the max.
Let's do a couple quick emails, and then we're done. Chris in Texas. If the aliens challenge us to a game of basketball, my first call is now to KD, not to LeBron anymore. Chris asks, am I right or am I an idiot who overreacts too easily? Here's my answer. The call still goes to LeBron. God bless KD. I think he's been on the exact same level as LeBron. I think it's now a legitimate argument. This is the MJ versus Drexler situation that we always wanted in '92, and then MJ just pulled Drexler's heart out of his body and took big bites out of it. KD versus LeBron is it's fantastic. It's 1A, 1B to me. LeBron is still the first call.
Yeah, no doubt. It's not even.
Okay.
I'm not going to go through any rationale. It's LeBron.
Jack from New York asked, why would LeBron losing the series negatively impact his legacy? Did Jordan ever face a team as good as the 2017 Warriors in the playoffs and win? My answer is no. I think the 93 Suns were fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really great team and kind of an early version of the basketball we're watching now, although they weren't as good at shooting threes as these teams. But he did play the 89 Pistons and the 90 Pistons in playoff series. They lost in 6 and 89. And in 90 was a slugfest, 7 games. Scotty got the migraine in the 7th game. I'm just telling you, for people under 25 who don't remember this stuff, probably under 30, like those Pistons teams were fantastic.
Unbelievable.
They were fantastic. And he took the 90 Pistons to 7 with a very, very young team. And I think a new coach. I think that was Jackson's first year.
Mm-hmm.
But that 90s Pistons team was off the chain. And it's actually a really fun argument if you had the 90 Pistons versus this Warriors team with Isaiah and Dumars and let's say the 89 team because that was a better team. Isaiah and Dumars and Rick Mahorn and Lambeer and Dennis Rodman and Sally. And they just had a lot of looks, which is why historically I think I ranked the 89 Pistons 4th all time in my book 9 years ago.
Unbelievable.
Because they were like the Swiss Army knife team.
What a good matchup. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then somebody else asked me, hold on, let me find. Somebody asked me about the 2004 Pistons. I'm finding that, hold on. I can't find it, I'm sorry. It was an email from somebody who said, Rashid apparently said the 04 Pistons would beat the 2017 Warriors in the series. And, you know,
I don't think
it's not. I don't think so either, but it's not ridiculous because you could have, you know, Ben Wallace would just run amok.
Yeah.
You'd have Tayshaun on Durant. You'd have young Chauncey on Curry. You'd have Rip and Clay just chasing each other around screens the whole game. And then you would have Rashid and Draymond.
It's interesting.
I think the Warriors, the problem is the Pistons couldn't score enough. You know, I looked up their three-point shooting stats, and it was a disaster.
Right.
Their games are in like the high 80s, low 90s. But defensively, probably the best defensive lineup we could throw at this Warriors team, I think.
And you would know that game plan-wise, they'd come in with a sound approach. Chuck Daly would have, you know.
Yeah, good coaching. That was Dan from Detroit, by the way, last time. Thomas in Columbus said, Pop is 68, LeBron is 32. Who do you think is more likely to still be in the league in 10 years? What do you think?
I'll answer. It's LeBron. I think Pop is not that far away from being done.
Yeah, Pop's on a vineyard in Santa Barbara making his own wine.
Exactly.
He's making a great life. Actually, Pop vineyard.
There's a whole other chapter to Pop. I mean, his prominence this past over the course of the season here, kind of politically, and how articulate he's been and how passionate he's been. It seems like there might be. I don't know that he'll run for public office, but you could see him, you know, having another chapter.
Tyson from Australia. A lot of Australia/New Zealand listeners for this podcast and Cousin Sal, because those people are degenerates like we are. That's why I thought about it, put some thought into it, and I think Sal and you and me, we're all like honorary Australia and New Zealand people because they're all degenerates.
I agree. I think that too. I get so much nice things from people from Australia. Anytime they're in D.C., like, hey, Alice, we're in D.C., where should we go eat? I always respond to those. So, yeah, maybe we should open a ringer branch in Australia because obviously they dig our stuff. But he says, I'm a pretty big Cavs fan. I recently texted my brother telling him I'd slice off a piece of my foreskin if the Cavs came back to win after being down 3-0. If the Cavs do win, do I really need to do it, or am I disrespecting the basketball gods if I don't? I'm sorry, you got to do it. If they come back from 0-3, you have to slice off some of your foreskin. Do you agree, House? Can we end on this? Can this be the last one? I mean, I don't want to talk about it. I don't like this idea.
You want that to be the last one?
Why did he write that?
I don't know. Because we're Flash listeners.
He's Australian.
Chase from KC wonders if the Cavs come back down from 3-0 and LeBron wills them to a finals victory, is the debate for greatest of all time officially over? It actually might be. That might be the flip that we needed.
Because it's never happened.
If LeBron pulls an 0-4 Red Sox?
Yep. Wow. Oh, could he be over MJ, though? Could he really be over MJ?
Last one. What current NBA players would you choose if you had to beat the Warriors' lineup of death in a sudden death Game 7 scenario? I assume that you're allowed to use Cavs in here. I came up with Anthony Davis, Paul George, LeBron, Kawhi, and Kyrie.
Okay, yeah, Kawhi, yes. LeBron.
You're basically keeping the Cavs, but improving them with Anthony Davis instead of Thompson, Paul George instead of Love, and Kawhi instead of J.R. Smith.
It's funny. You know what? I personally, and I know that this is going to sound funny coming from me considering my view on this guy previously. I'd rather have Russell Westbrook than Paul George. I would swap out Paul George for Westbrook. I don't care about the size.
I wouldn't.
I'm talking about
my
heart.
life's dependent on because I think Westbrook would try to shoot 35 times. Non-Cavs lineup for me would be Davis, Paul George, Kawhi, Harden, Conley.
You left Westbrook off both.
Yeah, because I want to win the game. I'm not interested in somebody going for his own death. No offense, Westbrook. The David from Flemington, New Jersey asked, watching Game 2 of the Finals on Sunday, watching how great Durant was on both ends of the floor, I thought to myself, is this what Giannis would look like if he had a jump shot? The answer is yes.
Giannis, by the way, is going to have a jump shot. Everything I've read and seen and watching him play, he's working on that jump shot. He's working on it. He's working hard.
He's working on it. He's been in touch with the other aliens from his UFO, and he might have more people coming. Last one. This will really be the last one. Andrew Garcetti writes, as a morally dilapidated Knicks, Jets, and Mets fan who has never seen a championship in his 26 years, which of those teams do you feel is closest to a championship?
Well, this
Knicks,
feels like a
Jets,
setup.
or Mets?
This feels like a little bit of a setup. I'm thrilled to say that it's my National League East nemesis, the Mets. I just had a very nice conversation with Noah Syndergaard earlier this week. Got to spend some time with him, with Thor. Great guy. I told him, we put aside our basketball difference, our baseball differences, pardon me, and we have a mutual hatred for the Dallas Cowboys, and we both love Cholula hot sauce. So the Mets is my answer. Okay.
I'm adding World War III to those three options, and I'm picking World War III. You have a pick for Penguins Nashville tonight?
I'm rooting my balls off for Nashville, so that'll be my pick.
Okay, me too. And I wish PK Subban had punched Crosby right in the face. I was disappointed that he didn't do that. Thanks to thebblacktux.com. They'll help you create your look or choose from tons of stylish selected outfits starting at just $95. Ordering your suit will arrive 14 days before your event. Try it on, make sure everything fits. If not, the Black Tux will send you a free replacement right away. To get started now, visit thebblacktux.com/BS and get $20 off your purchase. Again, that's thebblacktux.com/BS. Don't forget to listen to Shaq House, U.S. Open coming up, right, House?
We got the Open preview show. We're recording it Monday night. It'll be up late Monday, early Tuesday. A lot of picks, and I think I'm making a guest appearance this week on Against All Odds to talk with the Cuz about some U.S. Open props. We're going to talk about whether or not anybody's going to make a hole-in-one. There's some good odds out there.
Excellent. I'm very excited to hear that. We already put a little on Bubba Watson, right?
We did. We put a little taste on Bubba. This Aaron Hill golf course, first time hosting a U.S. Open, big ballpark, nice place for a big hitter. Bubba hits the ball long.
I saw him on Game 3, and I knew I had bet on him at that point. I just kind of gave him good vibes. Thanks to Capital One, they created the CreditWise app so you can check your credit score anytime you want right in the app. It's free for everyone. Download CreditWise today. Availability depends on presence of credit history from TransUnion. CreditWise is offered by Capital One Bank USA and House. This was a pleasure. Thanks for dragging your hungover bones onto our Saturday special edition podcast.
I hope it wasn't that obvious.
I think I'm going to Game 5, so I'll have a full report from that.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody for listening. Thank you, House. Thanks, Tate.
Thanks, Tater.